we ended up negotiating it down. I believe it was listed on Crexy at the time. It was $3 million. We got it down to 1.8. 15 years ago, my son passed away from heart rejection. He received a heart transplant when he was 11 weeks old. He was perfectly healthy up until he was 6 years old. And then from went into rejection, we lost him within 3 weeks. And during that time, our mortgage broker came to us and was like, hey, I've got this resort zoned property in Scottsdale. It's ready to build on if you guys are interested. And I wasn't really interested at first, but we ended up getting it negotiated from 1.6 million down to 565,000. So we ended up buying that.
Hello and welcome to the Dream Start Own podcast. I'm your host, Edgar the Connector. And today we have Mychele Bisson. Let's improve your sleep. Not by buying a new mattress or by changing your sleep time, your sleep hours, or how much sleep you're getting. As an entrepreneur, we know that you're not going to get more sleep most of the time. Check out 8 Sleep, the pod. It's a sheet that goes around your mattress, has these tubes where water runs through, and it'll adjust your temperature based on your preference. So you'll stay consistent temperature all night, and it'll adjust through the algorithm. Your consistent temperature, sleep deeper at night, sleep better. My version I got was with the adjustable base. So when I'm snoring, it helps adjust it and reduce the snore, which is very good for myself to sleep longer. I toss and turn less, and my wife likes it too. You know, happy wife, happy life. Back to the episode. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
I'm super excited. I've been following your progress with RV parks for a while. Mychele, you've built a real portfolio in outdoor hospitality space. RV parks, resorts, managing over 1,000 pads, and operating with significant capital behind you. Today, we're going to break down how this business actually works, finding deals, financing, turning parks around, and what most people underestimate.
All right.
Mychele, what was that?
I said, this will be fun.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it. RV park space so far. I've just heard things from, osmosis being in the rooms. I haven't really done a deep dive at all yet. So for the audience that's meeting you for the first time, what's the big vision that you have what's the big vision that you're doing for what you're doing today?
Okay. Well, my giant Everest is I actually want to be able to build grants for children who have heart transplants and families that are going through them. And then with that, one of my peaks that I need to climb is that I want to actually open up all of my campgrounds once a year for a week and allow children with heart conditions and families to come and stay with us for free so they can build their own community with people who understand what they're going through.
For heart transplants, what made you get into that?
So about 15 years ago, my son passed away from heart rejection. Actually, he received a heart transplant when he was 11 weeks old. He was perfectly healthy up until he was 6 years old, and then from went into rejection. We lost him within 3 weeks. So, sorry, going through that.
No, it's okay. Wow.
Yeah. So, going through all of that, when we first went through the heart transplant surgery, when we were first starting out on our journey, going through all of it, it was an uphill battle with our insurance company to really kind of get them to pay for it. Thankfully, I had some background connections to some things that were able to get us a contract with the hospital that we were with our insurance company, and he was allowed to go to the one that was closer to our house, which was Denver Children's. On top of that, one of the leading experts in his condition was actually building a clinic in Denver Children's at the time. So we were very, very fortunate that we were able to get the contract and able to get him to go back and able to bring other children back who also use that same health insurance. But not everybody can do that. And I just, going through all of that, even with insurance, the cost of it can skyrocket, about $250,000 for a family with insurance. Through all that, you just realize like there's just so many different things that can go wrong, and there's just not a lot of help. And so I wanted to be the help. And being in a campground industry where everything is about family connection, building core memories, building out all of that stuff, it just kind of felt like it was the right place to be. And being someplace where I can have families connect with other families who understand what they're going through just really resonated with me in the campground space.
so sorry for your loss to have to go through that. You have such a strong purpose to be able to help out families. That's a strong purpose for you to be able to help out other people with that. And I applaud you for that. And my heart feels for you for that. And thank you so
Well,
much
thank you.
for you helping out other people.
Thank you. Yeah. So that's really kind of why I push so hard at what we're doing, and not necessarily wanting to be the biggest in it. I just want to be the best at it and create the biggest numbers so that I can have enough reserves to help everybody in that situation.
Yeah, I definitely feel you. So being able to have that wealth come in, not for myself, but to be able to spread it out to help out veterans is in that same ballpark of creating that wealth to be able to help people that way. I think I'm rambling on.
No, I mean, I think that that's a really good point though, because it's like, somebody once asked me, they were like, well, when is it enough? And it was like, if you understood what depends on me doing it, you'd understand that the mission was bigger than that. It's not about me being wealthy. I don't need to upgrade my lifestyle. I don't need to do anything crazy. I have a great lifestyle. I have a great home. I have a great family. It's not about having a bigger house or a better car. It's about ensuring the fact that I can help people along the path that I feel is important to help. And I think that kind of speaks to how you feel about it too. Is it's not about the wealth for yourself. I mean, money is just a tool, and what you do with it
Exactly.
is basically what makes you the person that you are.
100%. I agree. When you're ready to finance your next property, if it's going to be through hard money lending, if you need a construction loan, a BRRRR method, conventional loan, hey, check out my link below for Deal Funding 360. Julian and his team have been doing it for over 20 years and they're super knowledgeable. They're going to give you all the tips and tricks. And don't just use them by themselves. Make sure that you use multiple options. I like to put them against each other and see which one gives me the best rate. They'll start dropping off themselves saying they can't match that rate. Hopefully get the best deal that way. Make sure you use the link below and tell them I sent you. Going back a little bit to the start, what made you choose outdoor hospitality over more common lanes such as multifamily or single family?
Well, actually, the funny thing is that a lot of people don't realize this, but I actually have multiple portfolios. So I do have a long-term rental portfolio. I started that about 7 years ago. That's actually how I first got into real estate investing. So about 7 years ago, I got into long-term rentals. My husband was working in a W-2. He worked for a very large international company. And during COVID, when rates dropped and houses were not expensive yet, I actually started buying houses after having a dinner with a friend who I found out had been investing in real estate for about 16 years and had built up a pretty solid life just doing that. And so I had dinner with him one night and she was like, no, we've got a really great cash flow. So we're just now doing what we want to do and living off of that. And I just thought, well, I could do that. So the next day I went out and actually purchased our first investment property, which was a $325,000 house, little 4-bedroom house, about a couple of miles from my home. Didn't really know what I was doing. Came home right away, listed it on Zillow, got my first contract, got that first deposit within 2 days. They were going to be moving in 30 days from there when I actually closed on the house because I had not closed yet. And thought, well, that was really easy. And so went out that next day and did it again. Closed on both those houses on the same day. Had tenants move into both of those that night and then did it again for a few months. And I actually did that for about 18 months. So
They were
started there.
just
Yeah,
were they
no,
just cosmetic flips?
no, they were actually houses that were built within the last 5 to 10 years. And I found that just little sweet spot where all the houses had not, the rates were dropping, but the houses weren't actually increasing yet. So it was right before that big boom happened after COVID when everybody started buying houses. I had found that little sweet spot and actually just started buying all the houses at that point. And so built up a portfolio of long-term houses. During that time, our mortgage broker, turned around, came to us and was like, hey, I've got this resort zoned property in Scottsdale. It's ready to build on if you guys are interested. And I wasn't really interested at first, but we ended up getting it negotiated from 1.6 million down to 565,000. So we ended up buying that, turned around and started building our little resort boutique resort on that. And while that was going on, realized we were going to run it like a short-term rental, but I had never run one before. So I did a bunch of research and started buying short-term rentals in Florida. And so, before I got into the RV space, I built up a couple of other portfolios, which actually really helped because my husband then left his W-2 right when we opened the boutique resort. And when he left his W-2, we both jumped headfirst into Pace Morby's Subto community to learn creative financing. And we also jumped right into RV parks.
Wow, so much to unpack there. One of the first things you said was just being in proximity. We hear this a lot on the podcast, is surround yourself with people doing the thing. That's not something you knew you wanted to do, but you speaking to her about the, rentals and real estate investing got you started. And then you didn't take the time to sit there and entertain yourself or learn YouTube University. You took action, progress over perfection. We talk about that so many times as well. And you're a living example of it, showing your huge portfolio that you have of RV parks, single family, even land development. How does somebody go from asking for 1.5 or 1 point something million and getting it down to 500,000?
That actually was an accident, as funny as it sounds. I just did not want the land. I wasn't ready to develop, I didn't think. And that's one of the other things, right? Is you really don't know what you're ready for until you're kind of thrown into that option. I was not ready to develop. And so when they brought it to us, I really didn't want to do it. And so when my husband was like, "Hey, I think we should look at this," I said no. And that's really what it was, is I just said no. And so then they came back a couple weeks later and were like, "Okay, well, what about 1.2?" And I was still like, no. And they came back at 900,000. And my husband was like, "I think we should really look at this." And I jokingly said, "We'll offer them 500,000 in cash and see if they take it." And so they came back at 700. I was joking and kind of came back at 535, and we settled at 565. And so at that point, it was just a deal that you can't say no to, because I'm like, crap, I did all this negotiating. Now I feel like we have to buy it.
There's just incredible. So what did you end up doing with that land?
We actually built it out. So it's called the Villas at True North. It is 200 feet from the True North golf course, and we rent it out as a short-term rental. It's 4 townhomes that are about 2,500 square feet apiece. It's got a commercial pool, a commercial hot tub. The backyard is done with 2 large fire pits, a large rec area, and a putting green. So we rent it out for parties anywhere from, you can rent 1 to all 4. It can sleep up to 24, I believe. Wait, is that right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. No, each one does 12. Each one can sleep up to 12. So I guess 48. We max out at 48.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so you had no development experience at all before that. You got the land, and then did you know what you were going to do with it once you got, or how long did it take you to get to that point?
Well, we kind of had an idea of what we could do with it. It was zoned as a resort, but what we didn't realize is that when we closed on the land, it came fully with zoning plans, everything stamped and ready to go with the state and the county. And so we had everything handed to us. Like, we had all of the plans and architecture and everything basically handed to us at the closing. So we just had to pick a builder. So we kind of lucked out more than anything. I mean, it was, when you're just kind of, you feel just, I don't want to, I guess blessed is a kind of a way to, or lucky, or like karmic force, or, you fall into something, or you're in the right place at the right time. Like, it just really kind of happened that way. And I feel, honestly, if I'm going to say it, I feel like a lot of my real estate journey has been that way.
Yeah, I mean, for whatever people's beliefs are, fortunate, blessing, lucky, it speaks to somebody. So you weren't buying land. What made and you didn't go reaching out to the buyer. You said the broker reached out to you. I mean, why would they reach out to you in the first place? What were you doing to get your name out there?
Well, actually, I wasn't doing anything. So I was buying single family homes, and I built up a pretty significant portfolio. And the broker was our mortgage broker. He was one of our mortgage brokers, and he wanted the land for himself. But he couldn't buy it. And so he brought it to us and was like, "I would like to partner on this with you." And so that's kind of how that all came about. And I really was resistant to it, even though my husband and him were both very much wanting to do it. I just really, I'd never built anything before and I was nervous about it. And so when we ended up buying it, because at that point you have to, it's ridiculous if you don't when you negotiate it down that far. The broker ended up taking, I think, 20% of the deal, or actually it's like 18% of the deal. And then we ended up developing it, building it, raising the money, getting the construction loan, and oversaw all of it ourselves. Personally went out and broke down boxes and built beds and furnishings and um, did all of that stuff ourselves. We still own it to this day. It sits there right now. We're in it for $3 million, and I think the last time we checked, it was valued at $8 million.
So just because you were active in single family, you were doing the thing. So people out there, if you want people to come in and get you deals like this where you can be blessed, fortunate, lucky, whatever it is, you got to go out there and do things. It's not just sitting there and learning because that's not going to get you any action. Go out there, meet people, talk to them, and see how you can help them out. See what you can do to get into it. If it's using your credit, if you have a W-2, if it's making time to make phone calls, there's so many different ways you can get out there and just by speaking it. It's one of the reasons I have my platform for this podcast is to meet people, amazing people like Mychele, and to be able to hopefully find people that will bless me with different things like that. And I've had people reach out to me I had a flipper from California reach out to me, needed help with something in Alabama because they heard me on a podcast. So it's amazing. Just go out there and do things like that. Yeah. It's incredible for you. I'm happy that's gone that way. You did that. So that still wasn't RV parks. What was that moment that said, I'm going all in on RV parks?
Well, it was probably around the time that we actually were opening up the villas. So we were getting ready to jump into actually opening. We had already built this portfolio behind it. My husband then decided, you know what, I'm going to leave my W-2. So that kind of sparked a different kind of fear in us, which I think in some ways fear can be very fueling. It kind of makes you creative. And so at night, apparently my husband was secretly watching Pace Morby videos on YouTube after I was asleep. And so he decided when he was going to leave his W-2 to turn one on for me about creative financing, because the big thing is like, if you're going to leave your W-2, we cannot use what we have in the bank. Like, we need to make sure that we're doing this as creatively as possible. We don't know what's going to happen. We're just opening the villa, so we don't know how they're going to take off. They haven't stabilized yet. And so we have to do our next steps as strategically as possible and with as much intention as possible. And so while he was leaving his W-2, I was actually signing up for a call with the Subto person to learn more about creative financing. And so we had a call the next day. We signed up within a week. And my thought process was, if I get one good deal out of this and just learn how to creatively finance, it would be well worth it. So as we started diving through everything, I think at that same time, Pace was talking about buying his first park. And somebody had sent us, we were looking at mobile home parks because we realized we needed to go into something bigger. We couldn't go into single family homes again. After building a resort, we were just like, once you see numbers like that, it's kind of hard to jump back into smaller assets. And so this, based on Performa, was supposed to do about $300,000 annually. So we were like, it's probably a good time to jump into bigger assets. And we were actually looking at mobile home parks and storage facilities. I didn't even know what an RV park was. So we reached out to somebody. They sent us information on a mobile home park. There was a storage unit on it. There were a couple of other things on it. And the very back, at the very bottom, there was like a little one line about an RV park. And for some reason, we zeroed in on that one thing and we were like, what is that? And so we started researching RV parks and we started looking at how to underwrite it. And when we started underwriting it, we were pretty sure we were wrong. First off, because we were like, there's no way that this could make that kind of money. And so we took it to somebody else in the community who helped us underwrite. And he was like, no, if you can get it down to this price, this would be a gold mine. And so we did. We ended up negotiating it down. This was a $3 million park when it was listed. It was on one of those places that, most of us laugh and say goes to die. I believe it was listed on Crexy at the time. It was $3 million. We got it down to 1.8. The seller was like, I want to close before the end of the year, which we then asked if he could sell or finance part of it. We weren't sure because we were just learning. So this is, where you just kind of throw things at somebody to see if it sticks. And he agreed to sell or finance 30%. We then brought in a private money partner. They brought in 40% and he sponsored us at the bank, which brought in 80%. So we ended up buying that park. We had all of the money plus a CapEx, and we walked away from the closing table with $70,000. And this is 45 days after we joined.
You're a master negotiator. What do you think makes you such a good negotiator?
I think it's because I don't fall in love with a deal. So that is one of the biggest things that I see a lot of when people come into the community or when they bring me something is they're like, this is the park that I want. This is what I want to do with it. And they've already created this entire image of what they're going to do with this park. And you can tell they already love it. And so they've already lost the negotiation game. And so for us, we can see all of it. We know what we want to do with it. But at the end of the day, it still has to make certain numbers. And if it doesn't make those numbers, we don't fall in love with it.
That's invaluable information there. Valuable tips for the people listening. Shout out to Pace Morby, his community, the Go-Giver community, and then you just going after, you just taking action is the biggest thing that I'm hearing from you.
Yeah, imperfect action is a big one.
Yeah, for sure. So that was your first RV park, was a mixed mobile home park, storage, and RV park all in one?
No, it was literally just an RV park. It just happened to be on an email with those other assets on it. And that was my first introduction to an RV park. So I had never been in an RV park.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so this was all
and
new.
Then where was that one at?
This one was in Branson, Missouri, and we still have that park. So we moved into the park because we didn't know anything about it. So we figured, okay, well, we should move in and really learn how it operates. And so we did. And we originally went into it to be a long-term park and realized very quickly we did not want to be in a long-term park. And so we ended up repositioning the entire thing, redoing it, re-asphalting, redoing water lines, doing all of that, putting in back-end systems, creating a culture and hospitality, and made it into a family transient vacation park.
I guess long-term has a lot of headaches for people that want to feel entitled and like their own things because they've been there for a long time.
Yes, there is a lot of that, especially when it's a park like that. When we went into that park, it really, it was kind of like a scrapyard. There were 68 pads. Only 31 of them were being utilized for what it was supposed to be utilized for. The rest of them were storage for everybody who was there. There was a resident drug dealer that was living on the park. And it was not a place that you would want to take anybody. I mean, when I went, it was a regular stop for the police station and not for a good thing.
That didn't scare you?
It did. But I'm a little more stubborn than most people think and realize. And so, I figured, you know what, this is what we're going to do. We can do this. This is what we decided. And I mean, that's kind of one of the things is once I decide on something, like this is our road. And so when it came to everything, when it came to single family homes, when it came to the resort, they were all brand new things for me. Every single time we jumped into a new asset, it was a brand new thing. But when I commit to doing something, I commit to fully learning about it and understanding it and making it work. And so I think that is the biggest asset that my husband and I have in common. One of the biggest things that we do is that we're both very committed to learning exactly what we're doing, learning everything we can about what we're doing, and making sure that it works no matter what.
That's, consistency. I guess stubbornness, that helps out a lot. A lot of people tend to start something and they don't stay consistent with it. And they just, let me try the new thing, and you have a better focus on something. And I think that's one of the biggest things that a lot of people are missing. Like myself, I know me doing it by myself, I'll get distracted and jump to this, jump to that, and I don't stay consistent with one thing. I do when I'm doing it for somebody else, but I don't know why I don't tend to do it for myself. Earlier, you mentioned your private money for the RV park, and they did a sponsorship. So sponsorship is when somebody uses their credit to fund a deal for you. Is that right?
So they had to actually, it was more their experience that we needed. We had the net worth, we had the money. What we needed was the experience. And he had built 7 other hotels actually in the Branson area and had experience with that particular bank. And so that particular bank actually had turned us down originally when we asked for a loan. When he took us back, they actually gave us preferred terms and took 80% loan to value. Gave us 80% loan to value, which is unheard of in the RV space. And so it was a great way to start. Like I said, be it blessed or karma or good vibes or, the universe speaking to you or whatever. It was just another one of those moments where everything kind of aligned at the right moment and it all worked. And so we still have a great relationship with him. We're actually getting ready to pay him out on that park actually next month. So, yeah. So it's
Congratulations, one step closer.
Yeah. We have great relationship with him. We have a great relationship with our seller on that one. We actually just did a private money lend to our seller that we seller financed on it. And due to that, he actually gave us a discount on what we owed. So that was taken off the back end, which is hilarious. But, I think all of our sellers we've had great relationships with, and that's a huge part of being part of the seller finance groups, is that all of our parks that we have seller financing on, you need to have a really good relationship with your sellers. It keeps the doors open and it keeps communication open, and it just keeps everybody above par. And more than anything, you want to have a relationship based on trust and integrity.
Super insightful there. For the audience, you're listening, it's if you're getting anything out of this, please give us a like. Make sure you follow Mychele. We'll drop her social medias in a bit, and subscribe to the channel. It's free. Drop a comment, something that you learned. It's about who you know. When you mentioned the sponsor, the rates, the better deals that you got, a lot of it is about who you know. Again, surrounding you with the people that are doing. She's mentioned it before, and she mentioned it with the different partnership, a different property they picked up. Surround yourself with those people. If you're hanging out with people playing video games all day, that's what you're going to do. If you're going to sit on the couch all the time with other people on social media on your phone, that's what you're going to do. When you're hanging out with people doing RV parks, you think you can't get money. The bank had already told her no, but she brought in the who, said, oh, yeah, definitely here. And we'll give you better terms that we would have better terms than you would have gotten if we had approved you in the first place. Good negative there, because if you had gotten approved, your terms would have been great, wouldn't have been as good. And since you didn't, and you went found that other person, you got a better deal. Freaking amazing.
Yeah, no. And now we have a great relationship with that bank. We actually golf with our banker from there. So we golf with all of our bankers actually, now that I think about it. But so if you're out there, you should learn how to golf. It seems to be like the language of money for some reason. But
I heard you talk about that in Miami. I was like, okay, I should do it more often.
It's
stop
crazy,
being so much of a homebody.
Yeah, no, I feel like it really does. It kind of puts you in places with people who have money or have connections, and it seems to work really well. We were just recently working on a deal on a large build here in town, and crazy enough, the person who owned the land is somebody we've golfed with for years. So,
yep.
And
again, surrounding yourself with people.
Exactly. It completely, and I know this sounds hilarious, but it all stemmed from a conversation we had in Kentucky at a RV conference that stemmed around golf, because I'm kind of a novelty being a female that golfs, which then stemmed to an introduction, which stemmed to us going into a deal conversation, which then led us back to full circle to somebody that we golf with on a regular basis. So crazy enough.
Yeah, they say it, your net worth is your network. Your network is your net worth. So let's keep on building it to get to those points. Let's going back to that first RV park. What do you think you have gotten wrong on that first one that most people would get wrong when they get their first RV park?
Oh gosh, there were so many things. I think knowing now what I knew then, I probably wouldn't have bought the park because it was a really heavy lift and I didn't realize how much work it was going to be. I would have known right away that I wanted to go into vacation parks as opposed to long-term parks. I think researching that and figuring out which lane you want to go into is probably a really good start. you kind of have to know they're two different models and they run completely differently, and you need different management for both. If you don't know that, you can go into the wrong asset and really just kind of disappoint yourself and probably not get it to the capability that you can. There were a lot of things that kind of happened, and I know it sounds, repetitious and funny that I keep saying it, but the way that things kind of align themselves, even in that first park, I feel like it was meant to teach me certain lessons, which might be the reason why I feel like I'm always so blessed, because I look at everything as a lesson as opposed to a failure. And even down to the fact that like my first, reservation system didn't call me back in a timely manner. And I ended up with a smaller reservation system that has grown over time, but they have grown with me. And so now I'm on their consumer board, where I give them ideas on new things that they create for other consumers and other people with parks, so that it makes their lives a little bit easier. But I wouldn't have that if the first person had returned my call. So I think, going through all these, sometimes when a no or a non-returned phone call happen, it's to lead you down a different path. And sometimes you just have to close the door and just move on. And you find that the next path that you're supposed to be on is better. We were supposed to look at a mobile home park. We were supposed to look at a storage unit. Didn't even realize what an RV park was, had no idea. And now we're getting ready to close on our 10th and our 4th marina. So I think, and I love the industry. I speak at conferences. I'm on industry podcasts all the time. I surround myself with people in the industry. I've learned so much, and I love it so much that, if I would have gone down the road that we originally wanted to go down, I don't think I would be where I'm at.
I think the audience out there, if you're listening to this, your mindset is a huge thing. Is failures or things that didn't work out, not taking it as a failure, but changing it to a lesson learned is huge. And you growing just and taking step forward, progressing, even if it's a slower step or a smaller step, you're going to be able to progress further by having that mindset. Huge shift and change for people that are listening there. And dude, that's amazing. When you went from single family to RV parks, what do you think is that mindset change? Talking about mindset.
I think it was definitely knowing that I could do bigger things. I think that happened with taking on the piece of land and developing. That was something I had never done before, and I was really kind of afraid of it. But truly, when I look back, my biggest and scariest investment was that first single family home. And like, it's funny because that was $325,000 and I was terrified of it, but I did it and I learned from it and I kept growing from there. And it's like you start off there, and now I'm looking at like, $30 million portfolios, and we're like, how do we get it done? It's no longer a question of I'm terrified of it and I don't know how to do it. It's more a question of how and who do we know to help us get there. And I think that's where the mind shift starts, is like with that little bit, that first scary investment, that first little piece of knowledge that you push past what you already know, expand your mind in a way that the next piece comes into play, that you have to just keep expanding and going and going. And I think, if I wasn't forced to expand my brain at every step, I would definitely not be where I'm at. And if I wasn't willing to embrace the change, and it's like, you know what? Will it work out? I don't know. But am I willing to give it a try and give it, everything I've got to make it work? Absolutely. And I think that that's where, thankfully, me and my husband both are together, as we're both extremely positive in our abilities. We both also understand where our limitations are. And so when we need to, we bring in other people who are better at things than we are. Like even with one of our projects, one of our parks, our third or our fourth park had a restaurant on it. We had never operated a restaurant. We've always heard notoriously that restaurants fail. So what did we do? We actually went to one of our best friends who has ran a franchise of restaurants for 30 years. And we were like, hey, will you consult with us on this? And he goes, actually, I'll do you one better. He goes, I want to work with you guys. I will leave my job and I will come work for you. And so he did. And now he's my director of operations. And he is amazing. He has streamlined that restaurant. He has streamlined all of our parks. He has made them do so much better. He's so good at training. He's great at people, and he's just taken on so much of that part of it and the operations and the day to day of our parks that I don't know what we would do without him. And then when we jumped into marinas, it was the same thing. We ended up bringing in a regional who specializes in marinas and yacht clubs. And he's doing the same thing with all the marinas we bring on. So it's one less thing that we're afraid of because we're learning as we go, but we have somebody on our team that specializes in it.
It's fascinating. Again, who, people listening, the who. And then earlier you've mentioned a couple of times being uncomfortable. That's really something that you've helped you strive and reach another levels, which a lot of people don't do. They stay too comfortable with what they're doing. And just listening to your story, that doing things that are uncomfortable will help you succeed. Take those risks, take those challenges, because that's how you can increase your wealth, increase your income, and do cooler things.
Yeah. And
then
just have different avenues to help other people.
And then the good vibes that you send out, all the great things, people quitting their jobs to join you, to partner up. I mean, the energy you send out is just amazing. You're such a wonderful person.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here and blessing me with your time. So your park that you first got, it was a stop for the police officers. That made you shift from going to regular long-term rentals to RV parks. So for people like that don't know, and most investors, you think that having a good steady income, somebody's going to be there for a long term, is safer and more, not manageable, but consistent. What made you change, besides the headaches there, to go to something that's going to be a reservation here, short-term rentals, basically, for that RV park?
Well, I mean, there's lots of different factors of it. And I think that there's great places for both models. Long-term parks are great for the stability, but they aren't always stable either. I mean, a lot of times, especially when it comes to affordable housing, it's really hard for them to make ends meet. And they're one step from not having a place to live, which can be kind of scary. And that puts a lot of emotions into it. And it's also, it gives them a lot of insecurity, which can cause a lot of anger. And you get sometimes the brunt of that anger. It's also, workforces use a lot of RV parks, which is great for when they're there, but when the job is done and they move on. When it came to long-term parks, you also have the problem of you have a basic income. And so it is, if you charge $400 to $600 for the month, that is what you charge. And you have tenants on there, you have leases, you have all of these other things that you have to go, and you're now back in long-term rentals, right? Except they're in their own places and they're on your land, which isn't a bad thing, but it comes with its own problems. When it comes to vacation parks, one, we're always around people who are in a good mood. It's hard to be in a bad mood when you're on vacation. Everybody's there to have a good time. Everybody's there to connect with each other. They're not there to kind of hide in their own campground. They're there to actually meet other people who enjoy camping too. You can create so much value by different things that you add to your parks. We do $250,000 in one of our parks just in day passes for people who come use our park. We do over $100,000 annually in another park just on golf cart rentals. And we only have 20 of them there. So, and we're adding 20 more this year. We make an extra few $1,000s every week on our arcade in one of our parks. We have store sales, logo gear sales. We do karaoke nights. We do fundraisers. We do chili cook-offs. We have all these different events that are going on. We do boat charters. We do hundreds of thousands of dollars in boat charters out of one of our parks. We have different activities that go on every weekend. So while we are more active during the on season, and that's the thing, is that we are very active during the on season. So our managers work extremely hard for that period of time between 5 to 6 months. And then we slow down for our shoulder seasons, which are about 1 to 2 months on either end. And then we're almost completely dead during the winter. So like one of our parks, our park in Alaska, we completely close it down during the winter time, but we make so much revenue during the on season that it's okay. We just budget for the off season and we still make a pretty good profit off of it.
During the off season, are you able to use it for storage at all?
So what we use it for actually right now is we have a short-term rental that is on it. So you can go up and stay there and watch the Northern Lights, which is amazing. It's a 2-bedroom apartment that's above our office. And then we have recently partnered with a group that bring in portable saunas. And so they rent our space. So none of our utilities, none of our water, none of that. They just rent our parking space.
Yeah, it's excellent. Being able to use it for other incomes and not just let it sit there. And
Yeah.
then your parks have activities, rentals, stores, and just other avenues of revenue to add to your existing parks. Did all of your parks already have that on there? Well, let's not say all of them, because you're, how many parks do you have now?
We'll be closing our 10th in this first quarter.
Hey, for those of you that need some EMD, earnest money deposit for your wholesale deals, or if you need to do a double close, or if you're doing a Morby method and you need that percentage gap funded, get with Josh Smith at Foundational Funding. Get the link below. He'll do transactional lending. He did it for me. We got a fourplex and he was able to help out with the 30% that we needed to get the deal knocked out, and excellent service they provided. They take care of all the details, and it's been a lot more time than I expected they would with the lenders to get it over the finish line. So tell Josh I sent you. The links below. Back to the episode. About to hit double digits. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And so the first couple of parks, when did you start adding those extra items for extra revenue?
Once we stabilized our first 2 parks is when we really started adding other things to it. The stabilization of it was the most important part because we really, going into it, didn't understand RV parks. It was a brand new asset class for us. And so we bought our first park, really learned all the systems and everything else, repositioned it to a family park, and then purchased our second park about 3 months into that one. That one was 100% seller financed. So we ended up stabilizing both of those, and then purchased our parks 3 and 4, started going through the process of stabilizing and systemizing them. While we were stabilizing those 2, the first 2 were stabilized. And so that's when we started adding value to those 2. And so that's when we started adding like the stores and the upgraded spots and the streamlined systems and the extras that go with that. Our second and third park had amenities already on them. We just added to those amenities. So like, we had a water park on it. So then it was, okay, well, let's bring in day passes. Let's add more golf carts. Let's do, upgrade the laundry facilities. Let's do these things. Let's do chili cook-offs. Let's do promotional things for people in the community. So a couple of our parks this last year during the shoulder season, when we were a little slower, we actually did a dog days of summer where we opened up the park on the last couple of days and allowed people's dogs to use the pool, and they loved it. And then we partnered with the Pound, actually the Humane Society in both of those areas, and they brought in dogs to be adopted, and we actually cleared out both of those humane societies in both of those towns.
Wow, that's just incredible, amazing, all the fantastic words. That's such a heartfelt moment there, that you're able to do that and just give these dogs a second chance, because dogs are your best friends. I have 2 puppers that they're just they're everything. I mean, it's a lot of people that don't have kids or don't have dogs don't see it that way, but if you make them a part of your family, they can easily be
The
that
best part of the
important to
family,
you.
they love you no matter what.
Yeah, my dogs are great, and yeah, so many are that way. And you're able to help out that way by using your park that was gonna probably not get used anyways, but being able to offer people pools. I mean, all of that's just incredible. You're amazing. Happy to have you on this platform to share it, and I hope other people are able to feel this as well. Going to business a little bit, seller finance with the parks. So when you call and you talk to the sellers the first time, or the agents, they're all good with seller finance on the first call, right?
No. You know what? And the funny thing is that I'm going to say we don't do a lot of cold calls now. I don't think we've ever really done a cold call. So we have had a couple of sellers who originally were like, no, we don't want to do seller finance. And then sitting down and explaining the perks of what that means, tax wise, income wise, how that all works out, what that would look like on their end, how much they would get on a monthly basis, and really breaking it down for them has really sold them on the idea. And so it's been great to be able to walk people through that and show them, if you're retiring, especially, look at what we can do and we can help make sure that you're walking away with a lot more of the money. But two, we're also helping it so that you're not having to figure out, okay, if I get $4 million, now I have to budget this out for the rest of my life. We're just saying, hey, we're going to give you a paycheck every month for the next so often, and you just go on and do life as you want to. And I feel like people feel a little safer that way because that's kind of how they've always lived. As opposed to now I've got to budget this out and figure it out. Now, so-and-so wants their cut and so-and-so wants that cut. And the IRS is going to take this much. And it just seemed to help them out a lot. Now we've got such great relationships. One, we're known for it in the industry. So people know what to expect when they talk to us. We've got a great reputation with everybody that we've dealt with. All the sellers know we will always pay on time, and we'll do everything in our power to always make sure that everything is completely transparent and they can see everything going forward. We keep our sellers in mind all the time. And I think that that is one of the great parts of our business and who we are personally. We just had a previous seller finance owner come back to us with her last park that we're closing on. And she seller financed one of our larger parks to us. She came back about Christmas time. Actually, it was right before Christmas time. It was in Thanksgiving time. And she basically called us and said, hey, I'm selling you my last park. And we were like, okay, well, we'll look at it. We've got to run it through. And she goes, no, you're going to buy my last park. And so we were like, okay. So she said, it's worth $3 million. It brings in, actually almost about 400,000 every year NOI. And she goes, I'm going to give it to you free and clear for about 600,000. I know. And so we sat there because we were in the car and we were like, did we really just hear that? Because we weren't sure. Like, we were like, well, what is your debt on it? Or she said to us, the way that she phrased it was, I want to walk away with $600,000 in cash in my pocket. And so we were like, well, what's your debt on it? And she goes, no, I own it free and clear. And so we had to process that for a minute. And I was like, but why? And she goes, you guys have always paid on time. You've done everything that you promised you would do. And she goes, and the last park, you guys turned it around so well that everybody loves you guys. She goes, I know you'll take care of my park. And so we're getting this $3 million asset for 600,000 free and clear. So we're paying for it in cash and we're walking away with it.
Unbelievable. Building the relationships with the sellers, showing them, probably under promising and over delivering is huge, and treating people with respect. That's the biggest thing. Not just looking at them as like a transaction being done, but showing them that you're going to take care of the people, take care of a part of their, basically a part of their lives forever, whatever time they had it, and showing that you care for it that way and that people will do that. It's amazing. I had Benjamin Huang on here. He's talking about that laundromat and the way the seller was able to take off $200K off of his property. I mean, the business, because he just, spoke to her on a different level and treated her like a human, and her child as well. It's just, yeah, people have feelings. Treat them with respect and you'll get so much further. It's true about getting more with honey than you do with vinegar.
Absolutely. And I think that that is one of the biggest things, is that at the end of the day, you have to remember that you're taking over something that somebody spent their life building. And so this is
100%.
a child of theirs. It's something that they built from the ground up. I mean, in some of our cases, they were built from the ground up by these people. And this is one of their children. And so being able to promise that, we're going to make sure that it moves into the next century, but we're not going to change too much. We're just going to make sure that it can move into the same century, into the next decade. I think that says a lot. And I think that it means a lot to them. We're not going to come in and make it corporate or, strip it down of what it is. We're going to keep the culture going. We want to keep the traditions that you have going on. So Like our Alaska park, one of the traditions that they have there instead of fireworks is that they do a fish fry every 4th of July. And so this last year, the sellers came and hosted a fish fry with us so that they could come and see the guests that they've cultivated over the years and the guests that they became friends with. And so they could still be a part of their 4th of July. And they just did it with us.
That sounds like an amazing experience. Do fish fry instead of fireworks? Is there a reason not to go with fireworks?
It doesn't get dark. It's in Alaska.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. It makes sense. Okay.
I know it was.
Cool. Okay,
It took
I was
a minute
thinking
for us to understand the scene because we were like, well, fireworks, and and then we were like, oh wait, it never gets really dark. So, but I have to say that during the winter, the sky really lights up with the northern lights. So, good trade off. But
yeah,
on the other side of that, the fish comes straight off the boat. So we take a boat out to get the fish from the fishermen that are actually coming in that morning. They dump it on our boat. I've got video of it. They dump it on our boat with their big nets. And we take that, we go clean it on the park and fry it right away.
Dude, giving activities to everybody, family events, family activities together. Everybody can do that. Kids, parents, grandparents, very strong family bonding event there. That's incredible. Let's get a little tactical on this. We're almost an hour in. Thank you so much for your time. For your buy box, what are non-negotiable for your RV buy box?
I want to say that we have non-negotiables. But if I was going to be honest, we have our guidelines, which is, we'd like 75 to 100 or plus pads. We like $500,000 NOI starting. We like it to be in an area where there's attractions or it is the attraction. We do have a couple parks that are in the middle of nowhere, but they are the attraction. People go there to be at the park. We want to have value add opportunities. We do want to have the opportunity to talk to the seller to see if we can do a seller finance option on it. Those would be definitely some of the things that are in our buy box. But I do have to say there have been times where we've fluctuated out of our buy box because of certain reasons. We purchased one park that is 34 pads. It also has a motel on it, and it does fish charters out of it. The NOI on it was so high that it made sense that we would look at it and purchase it. So when we ended up buying that park with seller financing as a part of that purchase, we ended up buying all of the land from all of the people around us too, so that we could expand that park. And we seller financed all of the land around it too.
Creative real estate, creative transactions at its best, and knowing how to talk to people. It's one of the biggest things, because you could have just said, hey, I'm buying your land because of this, and been rude about it. But no, having that person to person helps out with that. So that's amazing. Those of you listening, you hear about creative finance, you hear about seller financing. Don't just look at it as a transaction. There's a people aspect to it. Do that, and it's going to change your game. It'll change your production and deal making. Remember the people aspect of it. And so your buy box just can depend on, for Mychele, is just case by case, right? You got to look at it. Every park's different. It's very difficult to find parks that are really cookie cutters.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No two parks are ever alike. No two transactions will ever be alike. And your vision for it will never be the same vision that I have for it, because we're all different too. So I think when I want to say that we have non-negotiables in our buy box, I can say that we have guidelines for our buy box, which we usually try to stick to. We have gone out of our buy box for very specific things. But I also want to point out that we're in a place now where we can fluctuate outside of our buy box. If you're in a place where you're just starting, I would very highly recommend knowing your buy box inside and out and only looking at the deals that fit within your buy box, because you've already mentally prepared yourself for that particular thing. And because of that, you've already planned your budgeting, how you're going to raise your capital. You're usually already, starting down that journey. We have now gotten to a place where we've bought so many parks and seen so many different parks that we can now flex outside of our buy box if we want to, because we understand how that whole thing comes together and what we're going to do with it, because we've done it enough times now that we can see a bigger picture. Where when you're starting out, I cannot stress this enough, know your buy box inside and out and stick to it.
Definitely very good advice there. those of you starting out or you're having trouble sticking with your deals, is focus, know your lanes, set your buy box. That's going to be a huge time saver and huge way to be able to be productive and progress forward. And because the experience with that, you'll be able to learn which ways to do it. Sometimes you'll see something come up and say, oh, that's easy to do. But once you figure out and see how much time you spend doing the research and trying to figure out to see if it's feasible, you could have probably got another deal if you stayed in your buy box.
Definitely.
Are there any red flags on deals that come in that make you walk away?
Some of the biggest red flags that we have is one of my biggest ones is if the seller is hard to work with. If they push back a lot, they don't want to give us information. They're just hard to work with, or if I hear them being rude to somebody, because all I can think of is if we get into a deal transaction with this person, this is the person that I'm married to until this deal is done. And if I don't like you as a person, it's going to be a really hard couple of years getting through this deal. And I'm going to end up just wanting to cash you out as fast as possible. And so that is definitely one of my biggest red flags, is how easy the seller is to work with. I've walked away from great deals that have been offered at completely seller finance because I did not like the way that I was treated by the seller, or I didn't like the way I saw him treat somebody else.
That's a really good, strong point there. A lot of people are like, I'm gonna make so much money, but having to deal with that person for so long. And then if you do end up buying them out, you don't know how much opportunity cost you might miss out there because you're putting those funds to get away from this relationship, from this one bad attitude person. Yeah,
Yeah.
great advice.
Well, and I mean, and then you really are, you're married to them. I mean, I think that's probably one of my biggest things. And so when Patrick and I go in and meet a seller, we both go in to meet the seller, and we both get different vibes from them because they're going to treat us both differently. And there's numerous reasons why they're going to do that. They either feel like we're not experienced, we're either too experienced, they think they can get one on us, they think that, oh, she's a woman, she doesn't know any better. They treat him like crap because he's got an accent. I don't know, whatever. There's lots of different reasons why people treat you differently, or you don't get a good vibe from somebody. Thankfully, everybody that we've worked with, we've really had a great relationship with. And so we haven't had that problem. But like I said, I have walked away. Like I've turned to my husband in the car and said, I don't want to work with that seller. And I've always been very thankful because he's always listened. And
Yeah, it's
so,
super important.
yeah, I think so that would definitely be one of my biggest red flags, is just the relationship that we're going to have with them. And if there's too many blind spots, too many things that we don't understand. So if you get like a property that's got too many red flags from the environment, or things that you can't clear up, or if there's not enough knowledge on the books, because a lot of these mom and pops don't keep great books. Some of them do impeccable jobs at their books, which we've been very thankful for, but we've gone into a couple where they've not kept any. We don't take anything for face value. Like people don't just, people have come to me and said, oh, well, he says that he makes an extra $250,000. He just doesn't claim it. Well, why? And do you really want to be in business with somebody who's not claiming something they should be because they're being dishonest already? Those are little things. I'm more of the personality part of it, where I really do pick up on little personality cues where I'm like, if you're going to lie to other people about your books, you're probably going to lie to me later. If you've done things and you didn't get permits or codes for them, you lied to somebody about something. So I feel like the chances of you lying to me are probably pretty good. I think, and those are little things that people miss out on. Like they really, like somebody brought me a park a couple months ago, and she was like, oh well, it's right now it's solely a cash business, and he's pocketing about 200,000. So he says that he's making about closer to about $400,000 on it. So I need to account for that, but he'll stay on as a manager. And I was like, but he's pocketing cash. And she was like, well, he won't do that and I was like, but he's already lying and saying that he's not making money to the government. So how do you know he's not going to lie to you? And that was like something that she's like, oh, well, I didn't think about that. And I'm like, those are the things that I look at, is your integrity in one thing leads into your integrity in everything else.
Yeah. I mean, they're showing their true colors. They're not going to really change it on the whim. And from your experience, what do you think, like saving on taxes and not getting codes, the gains there in the long term aren't gonna, I don't think are gonna probably outlast or be worth it in the long run.
Well, I feel like it's kind of like a double dip, right? I mean, you don't claim half of your income, so you don't have to be taxed on it. But now you want to claim it when I'm paying you for it. And so I'm like, well, if you can't prove it, then you discount your park or you need to prove that it's there. And if you can't prove that it's there, I'm not paying on that because now it becomes a fantasy and it's not real. And so that's kind of, but it comes back to the honesty thing again. So, and one of the things is that the RV park industry up until now is a very high, it has been a very high cash business, which is something you do need to be aware of too, because you're going to be switching your platform hopefully onto a credit card system so that you can keep track more of what's going on. But you do have to hire people that you can trust because they're going to be handling cash on your behalf. And so you have to know that they're not, letting somebody park and use your utilities and pocketing the cash for the night.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, everything's becoming a lot more digital these days. Okay. Well, very good information there. When somebody's looking at a property, what do you think is one of the metrics that they put too much weight on? And what do you prioritize instead
I think
for
they
the
put too much
underwriting?
weight on how pretty the park is. People have this idea that they want to have this beautiful, lush, gorgeous, like pristine catalog park. The truth is that every park has its group. Every park has its guest, and whether it's a long-term park or a short-term park, honestly, we put more weight on the numbers that can be proven, what we personally think we can do with the park, and what we know we can do without too much heavy lifting. And so we go for a specific type of park, which is why when you build your buy box, you need to know what that is. Whether it's a long-term park, a short-term park, or a resort park, you need to know exactly what you're aiming for. All of them have their purpose. Everybody wants to have, that perfect glamping, you know, idea, the picturesque kind of thing. But I think what you really need to put your focus on is what your end goal is. Is your end goal to make so much money to do these things to help other people? Or is your goal to have a beautiful glamping site? Like, you've got to know what your goal is. My goal is not necessarily to have the beautiful glamping site. My goal is to have places where people connect so that they want to be there. They want to spend time. They want to build culture. They want to make it their favorite family park so they come back time and time again and bring all their friends so that we can increase revenue so that I can ultimately achieve my Everest.
Yeah, everybody's vision, everybody sees things differently. So not everybody's going to think this beauty is the beauty that they like. So yeah, it's very important to look at it that way.
One more thing is I think one of the biggest
Yeah.
things that people do is they put way too much weight on what somebody like me thinks that their goal should be. And I think they should figure out their own goals. And just because I say this is what you should go for does not necessarily mean that that is the only thing you can go for.
Yes, well said. Everybody's got their own wants, everybody's life is different. Everybody's point of view is different. The same story said by multiple people is a different story. When you're looking at parks, what do you think? How do you spot a diamond in the rough where value add isn't obvious?
Oh gosh. I can say that there are lots of different ways that you can spot value in a park. I think I spot value in almost every park that I've been to. Um, it's just, do I want to take that job on? And is it a job my team wants to take on? And do we want to be a part of that story of that park? And so every one of our parks, we've been very blessed with them all being very, very different. But they all have their own story to tell. And the guests there all have their story to tell. And does it fit in the culture that I want to be a part of? Does it fit in a place where I would want to be there? Do I want to go there and spend time there? Do I want to be parts of the story for all of the guests that are coming there? Because ultimately now I'm a part of their story too. And so that ultimately is what it is. And when we spot a park and we look at it, it's what kind of a story do we want this park to create? So, one of a great example, one of the parks that we purchased in Florida is an old fish camp. Um, Lots of history. It's been there since I think 1942. The family that originally started it, lots of history. They've got decades of people coming to the same place. I love the idea of being a part of that. So going there and really looking at it and seeing it for what it's worth, you don't really want to change that. But what we wanted to do is we wanted to add to the experience. And it's always kind of a fine balance, right? Because I want to keep the experience the same, but I want to keep adding value so that new people come and they can see it too. So what we ended up doing is we're going to keep the original fish camp exactly how it is. And we bought all the land around it so that we can upgrade all of the land around it. So you can come back and do what you've always originally done, or you can come do the glamping side of it. Or like some of the guys, when I talk to them, and they can come with the guys and do the fishing trip, stay in the old motel, do it the way they've always done it for decades, while their wife and kids sit on the glamping side, and they can come visit at the end of their fishing trip and spend the next couple of days with them. So that's one way we're adding value, is bringing the family element into that.
I remember you mentioned that when we were in Miami. So one reason you expanded on that, so you had the fishing camp, and you had this conversation with some of the mainly men, and you said, how long can you stay here before you can't, right? And
Yeah,
what did it tell you?
To come home. And it was actually quite a funny story, because it was, I was like, because the first thing they said was, you're not going to change it, are you? And I was like, well, yeah. I was like, not really, but we're going to upgrade some things. Wouldn't it be great for the motel to be a little upgraded? And he goes, no. And I was like, well, what do you mean? And he goes, I said, wouldn't you like it if your wife wanted to come and spend time down here with you? And he said, no. He goes, I come here to go fishing with the boys so that we can get away and hang out with the boys. And I was like, well, how long are you allowed to do that? And he goes, 3 days probably. He goes, so I come down here, we spend 2 days fishing and then 1 day traveling back. And I was like, well, wouldn't it be great if you could stay for the whole week? And he goes, yeah, how do we do that? And I was like, well, what if I just expand the other side of it, put in cushy cabins over there? Your wife and kid can go hang out at the pool and drink. Your wife can have a margarita while the kids are playing in the pool. And I said, you can go fishing all week long. And he was like, that's a great idea. So
that's an awesome story.
Yeah, now they're all on board. So, it's really just trying to figure out, like, how do you encompass everybody into the vision, but not alienate the people who already love it?
Yeah, good balance there.
Yeah,
that's great that you again take that time to hear the people aspect of it and see what it is that they like about it, and then how you're able to expand on it. So you're helping their family at the same time you're helping yourself to generate more income. So it's a win-win situation. Again, people aspect of it. Not everybody needs to treat everything like a business and like a corporate thing. People aspect is huge, because you're not going to make another dollar without another person.
Well, I believe that if you're treating your people well, the money will speak for itself.
100%. I went through a situation where I worked at a place and I was demoralized. We'll say it. We'll keep it short. And then I made a phone call, made some changes, and I knew that I was going to be removed from that situation in like 2 weeks. The next day I came into work, and for that week I was doing like 300% of my numbers, because I was now happy, just because I knew that change was going to happen. So just being in a place where people are going to treat you right and happy, the numbers will speak for themselves that way.
Absolutely. And so we really make it a culture where we want to make sure that our employees are treated well. And we think that from there, they'll treat our guests really well, which is one of the reasons why we actually just onboarded and added health insurance to our company so that our employees could have health insurance. So it was a really big lift for us. We've been working on it for the last 3 months to get it all done, but we actually rolled it out this week. And so now our full-time employees are all on our health insurance, and they have the option to have that available for them. And so that was something that meant a lot to me, especially going through everything that I had gone through. Because even though it doesn't cover everything, it does help. And being able to make sure that my employees feel safe in their job and feel secure in what they can do, and they can go see the doctor when they need to, was important to me. And so knowing how important it was for me, I knew that if I extended that to our employees, that they would then feel a little more secure in their own job. They would feel good about where they work, and that would then reflect on the guests and how they serve them.
Yeah, congratulations on that, being able to provide that for people. Are you looking for employees for your parks?
We are always looking for employees for our parks as we manage, as we're growing and as we're adding more parks to the fold. We love having new people that come in to work under us. We are all vertically integrated. So we train all of our own people. Everything comes, we don't have a third party management company. We want everybody trained in our own culture. And part of that culture is understanding like what we expect as a company, but also understanding what that particular park expects. Because every park is different and they've all got their own culture to them. And we want to keep those cultures as close to what they are as possible. And so we do kind of want people to kind of fit into each of those parks. Where one manager may not fit in one park, they may fit perfect in another one.
And where do people find you to apply or see what spots are available?
Well, I usually regularly post our job application form, but you can also find us on wayhavenresorts.com, which is our new brand, where we put all of our stuff and information out on there. All of our parks will now be listed on there. And as we're growing, they will continue to be added to it. We're also building out a map where you can map across the United States and stay at any of our parks or any of our affiliate parks as we move forward. We also just launched a program called Blueprint to Cashflow, which is where we teach people how to get into their first park, because the biggest part of this asset is that people are just afraid to jump into it. And so we actually spend all of our time with about 5 to 10 people every quarter and walk them through all the way into buying their first park, getting them settled in it, and then they become an affiliate of ours and they get put on our map. And so that way, as our influence is growing, they automatically get promoted along with it too. And so what happens is, as people are mapping their ways through our parks, understand the culture, their park will now pop up in our map.
What was that site again?
So you can find out more about that. Actually, I think it's called Blueprint Cashflow, or it's blueprintcashflow.com, or you can actually email me at Mychele@bisonpeakventures.com, where I can get you the information. We're actually launching that website now as we speak. So
All that will be in the description below. And if somebody's listening that has decent income, but not a huge bankroll, that'll be one way to get in through the Blueprint co-living, or are you taking on private money lenders?
So we have Blueprint Cashflow to get you into your own park. And then we do have a fund. It's called under bisonpeakventures.com, where you can actually go out. And if you actually go out to my webpage, it's mychelebisson.com. You'll find a little link on there where you can either submit a deal for a park that you find yourself, if you want to show us a park and maybe make a little cash on that. Or if you want to invest with us, you can hit the invest with me and you can actually invest in all of our parks. So it's kind of the easy button.
The easy button. There's going to be a lot of people that'll be enjoying that. Yeah, reach out. Everything will be in the description below. Give us a like, subscribe to the channel. Thank you, Mychele, so much. We've gone over our time. I hope you're good on time. Part of the Dream Start On podcast is to start. And if you haven't started by getting your LLC, or if you need another LLC, use the link below to get with PCS, Prime Corporate Services, and they'll give you a consultation to walk you through getting your LLC. You can do it yourself, but they're going to walk you through it. They're not going to charge you extra than what you would pay doing it yourself. And they know how to set up the LLC appropriately to be protected, to get your operating agreement, and to make sure that you're coded correctly for the most business funding. Why do you want business funding? Because it doesn't affect your personal credit as much, and you can get so much more to help you scale faster, move faster, and grow faster. So use the link below to get your LLC set up with Prime Corporate Services. Now back to the episode. With your team building, when you went got your property, you did your villas that you built, then you went to your RV park. That first RV park that you bought and was kind of run down and you changed it. How did you end up picking up operators, managers for that? Where did you find the people to start delegating the work for that?
Well, our first one was a third-party management system, and I highly do not recommend that if you can help it. They did not have the same feel for our park that we felt, but they also didn't. We were treated more like a number, and I feel that with the parks that we bring on and the legacies that we have behind them, the parks deserve a little more respect than that. And so we actually ended up bringing everything in-house and started training our own management. And through that, with my social media platform and just being out there all the time, I've had people who have actually quit their jobs, bought a camper, and moved across the country to come work for me. So, and I love them. I think they're amazing people. I've been very thankful. One of my parks is actually run by one of my best friends of 25 years. So, her and her husband decided it was going to be, their year to try something new. And they up and moved into a camper and went and ran one of my parks, and they've been having a great time. So I think when you build the culture for it and you show people that you love what you're doing, people show up to the door to help.
Yeah, I've seen your posts. I'm not in the RV parks, but I hear you speaking, and I'm like, I want to go work with Mychele.
Thank you. We actually just had somebody apply. We just did 2 interviews with 2 groups of people, and they both were like, "Oh my gosh, we've been following you, and we just want to come work for you." So that's where we've gotten all of our park managers. My operational director has been the same way. He originally, like I said, he was a longtime family friend. When I started investing, he was like, "You're crazy. I don't know why you're doing that." And then 5 years later, he's quitting his job to work for me. So our marina expert, same thing. He followed me. He liked our story, and he jumped on board. Quit his job, joined us as soon as we were like, "Hey, we're ready for you." So he's been working with us since then, and that's just kind of how we've been growing. We've just been, sharing what we do with everybody, and it's just paid off because people want to be a part of something new, and they want to be a part of something that means something.
100%. What advice would you have somebody that, just in general, for like entrepreneur or even RV parks, what do you think is one piece of advice everybody should hear?
I think the biggest piece of advice is that if you truly believe in what you're doing, no matter what it is, single family homes, short term rentals, RV parks, all of them, if you truly believe in what you're doing and you love it and you put it out there and you share your story and you're honest and you tell people the highs and the lows, people will flock to you because they want to hear your story. And some people will want to come and work for you. So it's not that it's hard, it's not easy, but it's not impossible. It takes a lot of work, and you've got to have the right attitude. You've got to let things roll off your back. You've got to know to understand that everybody's got their moments, and you're dealing with people, and there's a lot of different personalities that come in dealing with people. And so when you treat people with the same respect that you expect to get back, people take a step and they realize, okay, you know what, we're all people at the end of the day, and they treat you better, and it just gets easier from there. So at the end of the day, while this is a business and numbers do matter, and making sure our electrical is perfect, and our Wi-Fi system works and everything else, when you can really connect with the person that you're serving, I think that that speaks louder than any business that you can have.
People aspect again.
Always.
Just yeah, so much great positivity there from you. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for being so open about what happened and why your vision is. And thank you so much for coming on. And everyone listening, if this episode helped you, share it with one person that needs to hear it. See you on the next episode of Dreams Start On.
Thank you.
Be sure to catch this other episode to start your dreams and own your time like these other guests have.